Hello, family, and welcome to another episode of Role Model Makers Experts Cafe. I'm your host, Dr. L, the Parent Whisperer, and today with me, I have an amazing lady. She has been with me since pre-COVID days, and we did some amazing programs at Amazing Parents Network. Actually, we pretty much launched some programs during COVID at Amazing Parents Network. It is definitely my pleasure to introduce to you guys Miss Julie Coton. She is heart-centered. She is going to surprise you, and she is actually very good at what she does, and she's very happy and is bound to make you happy. So, without further ado, Julie, thank you for being here. Tell us a little bit more about what we're here to listen to. I know you do so many different things. So, what are we going to focus on today, and why should parents care about this?
I love it. Thank you so much for having me, Dr. L. It's always a pleasure to get to play with you. And that's what we're going to talk about today is play and really giving people permission to play, understanding why is play so important to our brains and our neurology, and how we can use play as a way to connect with ourselves, our inner selves, and also those closest to us, whether it's in our families or our world, our community, and how, yeah, so just really inviting people to play more. I appreciate that you say I do so much. I hear that a lot. And something that I've really been honing in on for myself is yes, and I do a lot of different things in the world. And really, I'm only ever doing one thing with those things, and that is reminding people of who they are. That's my whole gig. It's like, how can I remind you of who you are? I happen to use a very big uh, play toolbox full of play items, right? So some of the things that I like to play with include theater arts, things like improv and singing and acting and dancing, things that you might see that you be entertained with, that you might go and partake of, like a movie or a play or a concert, right? All of those things are tools I play with. And then on kind of the other side is the domain of wellness and well-being tools. So these are things like massage, the movement like yoga or kickboxing or stretching or Tabata, or like high intensity interval training, or like the benefit nutrition, the things that make us well, including our mental wellness. So really understanding, which I love this about you with your background, understanding the brain and how is our brain doing the problems of life, right? And so to take all of that and really kind of overlay this filter of play. How can I use how's my brain doing the problem and make it fun, not take it so seriously?
Julie, I love what you just said because you just said, in my eyes, what I heard, or in my ears, what I heard was you actually have a holistic approach to authenticity, authenticity physically, authenticity mentally, authenticity spiritually. And isn't that what we all want for our kids and our families as well? And wouldn't the world be a better place if everybody would show up as who they really are and really fulfill their mission and what they are after in this life. So I love that. All right. So what's your approach today as far as gaining this authenticity?
I Funny that you said, what's my approach to gaming? I heard gaming. And that's exactly my approach.
That's
It's like, how can I gamify whatever game I'm going to play? And I love to that you mentioned authenticity. Also, part of why you are my people is because I feel like there is an integrity or a coming into one with oneself that happens when we can get honest with ourselves, right? So I break it down, the whatever process I take people through is really always going through this kind of process. There's lights, camera, action, right? So we've got turn the lights on. Let's get and practice awareness. We can't even know that we're playing a game until we can stop and look and see what is the game that I'm playing. And sometimes we do that by surveying our outer world. Like obviously, if I'm playing basketball, it's going to be a different game, different rules of play than chess, right? I don't want to bring a basketball to the chessboard. That might get messy. Might mess some things up. So just turning the lights on, turn the lights on. What game? Let's get awareness and let's find out what is the game I'm currently playing. Now, in the lights, what can come up when we turn the lights on is maybe there's a lot of obstructions to the light, right? So part of what I do with people is to find out what are the blocks currently in their physiology or their neurology to them playing the game that they think they're playing or want to be playing. So it's kind of like, what game are you playing? It's like your GPS. Where are you now and where do you want to be? Right. So you might
Right.
think that you're playing the I'm loving life game, and yet you feel really sad, or you feel frustrated, or you feel like you're just spinning your wheels, or maybe whatever. You're in procrastination or perfectionism, or all the ways that we show up. Right. And it's like, oh, I'm not playing the I'm bossing my life game. What game am I playing? And really being honest and looking without judging oneself, which has been part of my journey, is like I was thinking I was somewhere I wasn't, and my results did not show up congruent or authentic or in integrity with where I thought I was. And then I had to really, really get clear and unpack what is really going on here. And so how can we do
So,
even that
so
through play?
So, Julie, what you just said was really important because a lot of times, especially when we talk about families and parents, parents are going somewhere and they think that this is something that ultimately is going to make them happy or is going to make their family happy, but they're not being authentic about what makes them happy. And inadvertently, they're teaching that to their kids that they come second or other things are more important. And your message is let's start here and show that to the kids. So what are some of the consequences of if people are trying to live their life to make other people happy? Let's address that first.
Yeah, that's a great question. So yes, being that would put me in my wellness hat for a moment because what happens is people end up on my table, my massage table, or they end up in my yoga room and they can't move, they have pain, they have dis-ease and dysfunction in their bodies. Things start to shut down. The body
Mm.
it wants to be moving to homeostasis or balance. It wants to be correcting itself. And if we keep ignoring the things that move us towards that wholeness or that, authenticity or integrity, then things will start breaking down.
Got it. Okay, so let's turn the lights back on
Yeah.
and go ahead and figure out which direction we're supposed to be moving in.
Yeah.
What are some of the challenges that usually people face? Because in order to have change, you need to kind of stop doing certain things, right? So what are some of the challenges on that?
So yes, I love that you asked this question. So I love that. Now I'm gonna go over to my theater hat for a second. So in theater, Julie, the actor, has her certain character traits, right? Things she would or would not do, the preferences she has or does not have, right? And when I'm going to step into the role of a character, like I just played Peter Pan. Let me see that thing in the back. I had long
Yeah,
hair.
yeah.
I chopped it all up. So to step into Peter, I had to be willing to be silly. I would do this anyway. I had to be willing to strap on a harness and fly over the audience's head, right? I'm singing and I'm playing a male, right? I'm not a male. So I have to be willing to lay down the parts of Julie that don't serve this character to put myself in the beingness of this character. So we can do the same thing in our quote unquote real lives, where it's like, well, I wouldn't give up whatever. Say I'm addicted to procrastination because on some low level, I got used to being stressed out in my life. And so one way that I continue to stress out myself is by waiting to the last minute to do things. So it's kind of a trauma response of mine is to procrastinate. It's why I'm so good at improv because I've learned how to be stressed out all the time. So now I do it deliberately. So I could make a new choice and do things on time. So recently I'm taking a test for some certifications that I'm getting for my next level of like coaching. And they gave me the test 2 weeks before the event. My test is completely done. So I broke in the pattern of procrastination. There was a version of Julie, the character of Julie, that would not have done that test until the last possible minute. And I have stepped into a new way of being. Like I put on a new costume and like I accessed this version of Julie being willing to do the thing that she wouldn't have done before because of where I'm headed is more important to me than being right and being safe and staying stuck. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
great.
so
So once we got the lights
what
on,
would,
oh, go ahead,
yeah,
unless you got another question.
I was just going to say, so where do we begin? What's the starting point on
Yeah,
all
lights is getting clear. So that's all kinds of awareness practices that can come from either this hat or this hat, theater or wellness. Ways to get clear on where am I right now and honest, where am I now? And where do I want to be? Lights are on. I'm willing to move the blocks out of the way. I'm willing to step into the new way of being. And now we need we got to get camera ready. All right. So now is when we skill build. Now is when we try on those different ways of being that are more congruent authentic to who we are wanting to actually be in the game of life that we're playing. And so those can include things from the theater world, like literally trying on different voices or characters, or taking big, bold action, or playing silly games that seem to have nothing to do with our real life through things like improv or gamification of life, right? They could also be like going and learning a skill, like if you're afraid of tech, or you're afraid of, or let's say you're working on nutrition in your home and you've never eaten foods that have higher nutrient quality. You're used to eating processed foods or something. So like building the skill of learning to cook new foods that are healthy and good for your body and nourish you, right? And changing your palate. So there's skills that have to be acquired or benefit us to acquire as we move
Right.
towards. So it's like, okay, I know where I'm at, I know where I'm going. What do I need as a resource or a skill between here and there? And the obstacle is the way, like getting on the road and going towards our destination is what prepares us for the destination. So there may be things I need to overcome, like I use the procrastination example. I had to be willing to take action now and do the thing. And now my body's at ease. I'm not stressed about this upcoming test because it's already done. And so we have to skill build and do the things that are required to prepare us to be worthy and congruent with the goal.
So I really love this, and I can see so many opportunities to really implement this, to have, especially when I'm thinking about adolescent and teenage kids, because they're in a phase where they're trying to figure out their identity and who they are, and social media oftentimes is getting in the way because it's kind of projecting this false filter on what is good, what is normal, what is happy, and these kids are trying to kind of figure out who they are based on this filter that's being put out there. So I love the fact that what you're talking about, like with theater, with health, this is a skill set that actually establishes authenticity in all aspects of your life. That, you know, the sooner you start, the happier you're going to be because you're laying a foundation that's going to grow in the right direction. So it's really cool.
I love,
So I was going to ask, yeah,
yeah,
go ahead.
you're going to ask me what?
I was going to ask you about improv because you never think about improv being something. So tell me a little bit more about how improv ties into some of this. And yeah,
Absolutely. Improv can be the skill builder, and it can also be the action, right? Lights, camera, action. So lights, turn it all on, get aware. Camera is get camera ready, learn the skills, learn the communication skills. And then, so you can learn some of that through improv, through play. And then improv is action. Like even in the learning of it, you have to step out and do the game or do the exercise or do the scene with your scene partner and be willing to do it wrong, be willing to fail, be willing to look silly. I mean, oh my goodness, in improv, if you make someone laugh, that's the point, right? Like, so people are like, I don't want people to laugh at me. In improv, we do. We want people to laugh. So yes, improv gives us a safe container that's outside of where our normal set of circumstances are seen, or the character, the life of me, the life of Julie isn't necessarily on the improv stage. And so I am wide open to take all kinds of risks that Julie wouldn't necessarily take, because we're not doing it in Julie's life. We're doing it in a constructed, you know, it's fabricated, it's not real, it's play pretend. And so to build the skills over here and then be like, oh, it was easy for me to be confident, or it was easy for me to play somebody who was mean, and now I have a perspective that when I go over here in my real life and I have someone that's mean in my world, I can understand and look through the world through their eyes now. And so we build compassion, we build understanding, we build strength and confidence that we gain over here through play, but then it can be translated into our quote unquote real lives.
well, I love the fact that you mentioned it's a safe space because I think that's one of the things that gets beaten out of kids growing up, especially academia and everything else. You got social cultural norms. And if you step outside of that, you get penalized. So this is something that allows you to kind of forget about all of that, and anything you do is okay. Just let's see what comes out, basically,
That's
because
right.
otherwise you would never know.
We are playing in a world right now. I'm working with a group of kids at the Boys and Girls Club, and we're taking a book and we're like extrapolating the concepts and putting it into a different context. So it's like, okay, this is a book about a bug. Now let's, what kind of bug friends would she have? And she's practicing mindfulness in the book. And it's like, okay, where can we put her where she might be stressed and need to practice mindfulness, right? And so the kids are coming up with their character ideas. And I'm like, let's move like an animal. Okay, let's all be frogs. Let's all be spiders. You know, how would we move our bodies differently? And so they're getting to generate, they're using their creativity. They're getting to take
Yes.
on these different ways of being. And I was like, oh, we need a villain. What could happen to this bug? Oh, she could get caught in the spider's web. Perfect, right? Like that happens in nature all the time, right? Like and then they're taking what's known and familiar and they're getting to become it without any risk of failing, or like everything they're doing is perfect because they're creating it all from nothing. So it's never been done before. They can't do it wrong. And all of that just gives them permission to take risks in their real life too when something hasn't been done before. Well, that's just like it was over here in theater camp. Oh, we created something out of nothing. Of course I can go and do it in my job, or I can do it in my family, or I can do it in the world.
Really, I'm thinking that in this day of AI and technology and industrialization, everybody's trying to be more machine-like and more streamlined and more effective, right? And that kills the creativity. So this is like just what the society needs to regain its balance and for humans to do actually what they do best, which is their creativity and their genius, basically. So I love this. How can people find out more about you and what you do and connect with you?
They can email me or they can check me out. My website is still under construction, although by the time you watch this, it might be done. So that's at juliecoton.com, or you can email me at julie@nextlevelimprov.com. So
Awesome.
juliecoton.com, nextlevelimprov.com. They take you to the same place. And then, yeah, you can just email me.
Very cool. So, audience members, really, really important. This is something that is a game changer. This is something that even academically and professionally, I can see how the next generation can get an edge over the competition. If you are in that kind of a thing, mindset that you want the kids to get ahead in life and have an advantage, this is something that kind of allows the kids to develop a skill set that goes far beyond how good are you in math and science and what's your GPA and things like that. And this is something that AI can't really compete with, basically. So I highly encourage you guys to, number one, role model the behavior that it is okay not to have all the answers and it is okay to ask for help. And also it is okay to connect. Our world is getting more connected, but people are reaching out less and less. So please role model the behavior. If you haven't subscribed already, subscribe to the channel. Make sure that you get the notifications for all the experts and the expertise that they bring to the channel. Also connect to Julie via the information that I have provided in the description box below. And make sure that you show the kids that the world is not a scary place, that there are genuinely good people interested in making the world a better place, and it is okay to ask for help. So make sure that you guys stay connected. Julie, thank you again so much for taking your time. I know you are busy and you just came in to do this and you're off right after this. So I appreciate it. But any final words before we finish today?
Oh, just remember to play. That's all.
I love that. Yes, well said. Thank you guys. Thank you, Julie. Until next time. Cheers.